Thanks. So let's talk a little bit about Guild Wars 2. So when we started off to start working on the game, we talk a lot about innovation with Guild Wars 2, and we wanted to innovate in 3 core areas with this game. The first is dynamic combat. We wanted to have combat that actually was action-based, that had a lot of movement, that had dodge rolling to avoid attacks, that you could actually use skills while you're moving around. You know, in a traditional MMO, you typically, you kind of stand in place and you kind of go like this, and you don't really move around very much. It's very much watching UI bars move up and down, watching UI elements pop in and out. And we wanted to get your attention and take it away from the UI and put it on the middle of the screen and see what's going on. It's a much more immersive way to play a game. And so we've developed our combat system so it's very action-oriented and plays more like an action game than a traditional MMO. So the second area that we wanted to innovate is in the area of story. Your character in a traditional MMO usually does not have a story. You are a nameless, faceless warrior who runs around with an axe and kills things. And the world has a story, but no one knows who their character really is. If somebody asks you, what is the story of your character? Who are you? Like, I don't know. But we wanted to fix that problem. So in Guild Wars 2, when you create a character, you actually fill out a biography where you answer questions about who your character is in our world. Did you grow up on the city streets? Did you grow up as a noble? Did you always want to join the circus? Did you know your parents? Were you a member of the Ash Legion or the Iron Legion or the Blood Legion? Each of these questions and the answers that you give to them actually determine the personal storyline that you experience in Guild Wars 2. And this is much like the storyline that you would find in a great single-player RPG, where you actually have a story your character progresses through that at any given time, you have one major step that you're going on next that tells the story of your character in our world. Now, to take advantage of this being an MMO, you can bring all your friends along with you, and they can experience your story. And you can go along with them and experience their story as well. And the stories will actually scale up in difficulty, so the more players who join, the game actually recognizes that and creates the correct amount of content for everyone who's there. So each one of those story experiences is really perfect for the number of people that are there. Now, as you play through the story, you continue to make decisions and make choices that actually branch the story and change it. So even if you have the exact same biography as another player in the game, you may have a completely different personal story as you progress through the game. Just from levels 1 to 10 alone, there are 15 unique storylines in Guild Wars 2. All 15 of those have branching that branch the storylines and change them as well. So everyone could have completely unique and distinct stories just from levels 1 to 10, let alone all the stories that branch all the way throughout the game up to level 80. So the third area that we wanted to focus on was dynamic events. And we started working on these by saying traditional MMO quests don't work for MMOs. And the reason these don't work is they incentivize players to not play together. They don't change the world. They don't draw players in together. Instead, we've all had those moments where we play a quest, we're killing creatures in an area, and somebody else runs in and they start killing the stuff. You're like, oh, get out of here. You're stealing my kills, man. I got to finish this quest. And that's not what an MMO is all about. There are a million players, millions of players playing these games online together. We should be playing them together, not incentivized to not be around each other. It doesn't make sense. So we said traditional quests as a core model doesn't work for MMOs. What can we do to replace that? The first answer was personal story, so your character has a story. The second answer is dynamic events. Dynamic events are events that actually happen in the world. They occur for everybody, and they actually change the world and branch out to create content for everyone to experience. So to really explain this, I want to give an example so you have a better idea of what we're talking about. The Char, who are our giant, fierce cat people in the game, you can see one of them's highlighted up there. The Char are split into three core legions, the Ash, Iron, and Blood Legions, which are the legions the players can join. And they're perpetually fighting a war against the Flame Legion Char, who are the rival Chars who have splintered off to form their own faction. So we have an event chain in the game where there's a number of forts and bridges and camps all aligned in a path leading up to one another. And the event chain begins with the players start at a friendly Char fort, and they move out and they try to take a forward camp that the Flame Legion controls. And this is an event that everybody can participate in. You know this is going on because in the world there are NPCs running up to you and in voice dialogue telling you, we need to take that camp, soldier. You're seeing siege weapons firing and bombs firing and shots going through the air, and you're seeing troops run down and attack this camp. And all of this is immersive and happening in the world. It's not something where you walk up to a guy, you talk to him, you read 3 paragraphs of text, he tells you this thing's happening, and you go off and it's not actually happening. In Guild Wars 2, these things are really occurring, and they have outcomes. So if players aren't able to actually take the forward camp back from the Flame Legion launch a counter-assault. and a new event kicks off where you have to defend the allied Char fort against the Flame Legion trying to take it. If the Flame Legion take it over, they take control of that fort. All the merchants and all the supplies in that fort are lost, and that fort is lost forever until the players complete a new event to liberate it from the Flame Legion. Now this event chain moves down the path in other directions as well. If the allied players manage to take control of the forward camp, the next event in the chain pushes them forward to try to escort mortar teams up above a bridge in the nearby area. And if you manage to get them up there, clear the area out, and get the mortar teams set up, now the mortar teams are going to start bombarding the main Flame Legion base that's off in the distance, and they're going to launch an assault on the Flame Legion base. All the time this is happening, you didn't have to talk to anybody, you didn't have to accept a quest. This is all happening in the world real time, and everyone's seeing and experiencing it. And the outcomes of each one of these events actually change the world for all the players. Now we've done a couple things to help support this. One of these is all of our events dynamically scale. So the more players who show up in an event, the more creatures that come to fight them, the harder bosses get, and bosses actually unlock new skills that allow them to fight and have abilities that help them counter larger groups of players. And this is to ensure that there's always something for everyone to do who's participating in an event. We've also set up our core reward systems to support these event systems as well. So if I'm attacking a creature and Martin comes over and helps me kill it, we both get experience, we both get loot drops for killing the creature. No one can kill steal from you. No one can ruin your experience. Everybody else in the game is there to help you. They're part of the solution, and they actually make events more exciting because they're coming in, they're making the event scale, and they're helping you kill things faster, so you're getting rewards faster. So you're actually drawn to play with other players in the game. And it creates a really strong sense of community, and it creates a bond between our players. And what we've seen from all these different shows that we've gone to is people playing down on the show floor start forming these sort of ad hoc groups, and they start forming together, and they play an event together, and at the end of the event, one of them goes running off, and everybody kind of runs off after them, and they all start playing together. And all of a sudden, you know, if this is a live game, people are going to start making friends this way. They're going to start joining guilds together. They're going to start building a sense of community, and this is what Guild Wars 2 is all about, is taking the things in traditional MMOs that don't support what these games are about, changing them, and taking advantage of the fact that we have all these millions of players in these games playing them. Let's bring them together and let's make it fun for everybody. So at a high level, that is what we're trying to accomplish with Guild Wars 2. And now we're actually going to show you a little bit of the game and show you how all the things that I've talked about actually play out in the game. So first off, you can see that we have 5 races here in Guild Wars 2. There is the Char and the humans and the Norn and the Asura and the Sylvari. And first off, we're actually going to show you a little bit of character creation for the humans. This is the most complete character creation we have right now. The game is in early alpha stage right now, so we're going to be adding a lot more options to this character creation as we go down the road. So you can see right now you can actually adjust the height of your character. You can select from a number of different builds. Again, there will be many more different character options available here when the game releases. So you can have a thinner guy, you can have a bigger buff guy. We want to let you pick body types that actually make it feel like you're playing a character that's indicative of what you want to be, rather than everybody is a supermodel all the time. Apparently we picked the one body type that turns off the video feed in here. Gentlemen in the back, we have lost video feed. All right, so while we're waiting for this to come back up, let's talk a little bit more about dynamic events, because I think that's a concept that is relatively new, and it's kind of hard to understand because it's something so drastically different than what you may have seen in traditional games. So I talked a little bit about that event chain that happens with the allied Char forces fighting against the Flame Legion. So there are actually more events in the game that can directly affect that event chain. So there are 3 additional events that tie into that event chain that happen in a different part of the map that overlap with it and can change the content that you experience. So the first event is actually an escort event where you're trying to escort supplies up to the front line where this big event chain battle is going on. And if you manage to escort the supplies and get them halfway up the road, the Flame Legion is actually going to set up an ambush, and a new event kicks off where you need to stop them from causing an avalanche that completely blocks the road and prevents the caravan from continuing. And these are actually 2 distinct events that are running simultaneously in different parts of the map for different players to be able to do that overlap with one another. So if players can wipe out the Flame Legion that's about to cause the roadblock doesn't happen, and the caravan is able to keep moving along the road. If players are successfully able to escort the caravan, it's able to get along the road and make its way safely up to the base. Now, if the caravan makes it all the way and the rock slide is cleared and players get the caravan all the way up there, all new troops arrive, the troops get better equipment, and the allied char that you're fighting with actually are better equipped for the battles going on, and new merchants come available that players can buy stuff from. So we're back to character creation here, so let's talk a little bit more about what's going on in this. So, looks like we're still having some camera problems. Here we would be picking from... Oh, the resolution is off. So here we would be picking between the various physiques that are available for your character, either being thin or large, or a little bit larger if you so wish. We can hop over and check out head options. We'll see if the resolution's going to support these right now. Okay, Martin's going to restart the client real quick, and we'll see if this makes a difference. Sorry about the technical difficulties, everybody. Just hit return. Oops. So just to clarify, this isn't actually a problem with the game. So how many of you guys are excited for Guild Wars 2? Yeah? How many people have played it on the show floor this weekend so far? Wow, that's a lot. How many people are going to play it before they leave this weekend? That's even better. All right. Some of you didn't put your hands up. Why are you here? We're going to, by the time we're done here, you will want to go play it. That's our goal. And we'll see if we can get this to help. Now we are playing in German. Unfortunately, I don't speak German. I can't help you guys with this one. Oh, English. There we go. It's a step in the right direction. Sure, let's do it. All right. So this is the 1980s background blue selector. So keep your eyes on the middle of the screen and pretend like the blue is the empty part on your computer. So we're going to go back to character creation real quick. And you'll see here, you can pick from physiques for your character. This may sound familiar. All right, so let's jump down to head options now, and we'll keep this going. So you can see there's a lot of different options for the heads that you can pick for your characters. You can also select a lot of different skin tones for hair colors as well here. We'll get to skin tones in a second. But you can really get your character look like exactly the kind of character that you want to make. Next, you can select from the facial options. Again, there's going to be a lot more options available here on the actual release of the game. You can select a variety of different skin tones. There's a number of different facial hair options. For those of you who would like to get a little bit of this going, you can get that on there. Very nice. All right, and face details. We'll jump down to that next. And face details, this is the point where you really make the unique looks of your character. This is the difference between a general character selector and one that really gets down to the nitty-gritty details. So you can set the size of your eyes and the angles of your eyebrows. You can do the placement of your eyebrows. You can really get exactly the look that you want to get out of the face of your character. You can jump down to your nose, and you can adjust the height of the bridge of the nose and the size of the nose and the placement of the nose. We can go to mouth, and you can actually adjust the lips and the width of the mouth. You can do upper and lower lips. And then you can take your character and you can give them a big old chin, or you can give them a little chin, whatever you want to do. That's an angry looking guy, man. And then you get to actually select the dyes right off the bat for your armors. And there are 3 different color channels available for each piece of armor for your character. And something interesting to note that we're doing for GW2 is the game actually remembers the colors that you set on each piece of armor. And so when a helm drops for you in the game as loot, it actually looks at what color dyes do you have on your helm currently, and it auto dyes the helm for you so that everything matches the suit that you're already wearing color-wise. So it's easier to just throw your clothes on and go out and look great, and you don't have to take the time to custom dye everything. If you want to, you can go back and dye it more. That's totally up to you. Yep. Is this when we do our song and dance number instead? Do you want to just bounce out again and we'll try to come back once more? All right, so some of the stuff that we would be showing you right now, we'd be showing you a little bit of the Char character customization. And if we get this back up, we'll skip over that real fast in the interest of time so you guys can see more of the actual game being played. What you would see in Char character customization, you actually can select various fur patterns for the Char, and you can give them leopard skins or tiger Char. You can make a panther Char. You can make a Char who looks just like your house cat that you have at home. Whatever you want to do, you can get those looks and fur patterns put together for them. You can also custom select a lot of different horns. You can have cut-off horns. You can have horns that bend down or shoot out sideways. There's a lot of different options, and as always, we're going to keep adding a lot of options to these characters as well. But the Char are going to give you a lot of different choices that you can pick from the stuff that you want to do. And when you fill out your Char's character biography, and we would be showing you that right now, you would see that you would answer questions when you create your character about who your Char is. And some of the questions that you answer when you create a character is, was I a member of the Ash Legion? Was I a member of the Blood Legion? Am I a member of the Iron Legion? And we talked a little bit about those legions earlier. We talked about that sample event chain that I mentioned. Based on the choice that you make there, that dictates the first event chain, or the first personal story chain that you experience in the game. If you're a member of the Blood Legion, you're out fighting on the front lines in the battles with the Char. If you're a member of the Iron Legion, you're working on machinery, you're building tanks and cannons and mortars, and your personal story chain leads you along a completely distinct story to support that. If you're a member of the Ash Legion, you're sneaking around in the shadows, you're assassinating enemies, you're supporting Char army supply lines, and your personal storyline will send you along on a personal story that ties into that. Now, the next question you would get asked is, what is my character's personality? Am I charming? Am I dignified? Am I ferocious? And based on the answer you give to that question, characters in the world will actually react to you differently. So you could be walking through a city, and you could say that your character could be extremely ferocious, and a little kid might see you and scream and run away. If you're really very charming, a bard might start following you around and singing to all the other players about how great you are. And as you get conversations options in the game, you actually will get new conversation options that come available based on your character's personality. So for example, if you're especially ferocious and you get in a conversation, you might get an option to punch another character in the face right in the middle of the conversation, which obviously ends the conversation. So the next question you get asked is, who is my best friend in my warband? So Char are organized into warbands. Those are their mini groups in their army. And in your warband, you have a number of different friends that you can pick from who is your best friend. So let's just jump ahead to filling out your biography real quick, Martin. All right, so this is where you pick your personality: ferocious, dignified, charming. This is, am I Iron or Ash or Blood Legion? We talked about those. So now we get to the question of, who is my best friend in my warband? I'm particularly fond of Dinky, personally. And the choice that you make here, this character, this is a little bit of a spoiler for you guys. At the end of the first big battle that you have in the game, this character is the only one in your warband who survives. And this character comes along with you in the game. They have a unique personality. They have a unique voice role and speak with a distinct character. And they have unique lines that they say as you play through the game. So you can experience the game completely differently based on which friend you bring with you. The next question is, who is my dad? As a Char, they really don't have that close of family units. Basically, a mom Char and a dad Char, when they have a Char cub, they drop them off at a training center and they leave them there so they can learn how to fight, and they never come back. But in the case of this story, it turns out that who our father was is actually important because we need to track them down and deal with them because they've done something that we need to respond to. So the question is, was our dad a loyal soldier? Were they a sorceress shaman? Or were they an honorless Char who had no warband? And based on the choice that we make here, that affects the second storyline that you get to experience in the game. And within that storyline, you make decisions that will continue to branch that storyline and change it for you. Then as you continue to play through the game, you're going to experience new storylines that continue to branch and change as well and spread out across the game. So you can see here, this is a summary of who our character is based on the biography we filled out. We didn't see it, but Martin chose to be the engineer profession, which is one of the 7 professions available in Guild Wars 2. And this record here of who your character is actually available to you to read at all times as you play through the game. And each time you complete anything in your personal story, it continues to update that journal, so you can go back and read the journal and see exactly who your character is in our world and read their story. So let's jump in and we'll show you a little bit of the Char experience.
I am Char. In this world of constant battle, I am the deadliest weapon. I respect no authority but the clenched fists of my legion. With engines of destruction, we have killed our gods. We reclaimed our homeland of Ascalon, and we planted victory banners on the graves of our enemies. Yet, if we waver, we could slip through our claws. Victory at any cost.
So at this point, the cinematic is actually going to branch based on the fact we picked to be Iron Legion Char.
Churning gears and the roaring of siege engines. I serve the Iron Legion. I build the future. I forge the weapons of Char supremacy. I've earned the respect of my comrades and forged alliances I can call on in times of need. My Legion values innovative solutions, efficient execution. Like our steel, we do not bend. Centuries ago, humans stole Ascalon from the Iron Legion. They have paid for that crime in blood, but the usurpers fight us even in death. Today, the combined armies of the Black Citadel will assault the ghosts that plague Iron Legion territory. I have been assigned to reinforce the bulwark. Let the Ash Legion strike in the shadows. Let the Blood Legion die on the field. I am part of the machine.